You want to make a post that is similar to this one. Notice I have the title there of the painting and just a quick blurb about the painting. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. That's all you need to write. So what you need to create that awareness post is you need to write a brief caption that talks a little bit about what you like to do, a little bit about the painting, and I would recommend that you include the title of the painting in there. At this point, if there's anything you want to edit out, do it now, because once you turn it into an ad, you can't go back and edit it. So for example, here, since these posts cross-posted over from Instagram, and I may have trouble turning those into ads as a result. I hope not. I'm going to remove those periods so that it looks more native. There we go. So everybody finds something like that? Good. And all you need to do is write a brief little piece of copy, and it doesn't have to be fancy. So what I wrote about here was the greening of the marsh. It sleeps during the winter, but it starts greening up in mid-March. And that was what I was looking forward to, was the intense, deep, deep green of midsummer. So then I talked about this painting having been done a few years earlier in the marshes around Charleston. The summer marsh in all its glory. So it's not asking people to do anything. It's not asking them to take any action at all. So that's the post I want to use. So I'm going to start creating an ad. And I'm going to go really slowly here on this so that you can follow along. And we're going to think first about, actually I want to go through that with the our customer journey back up here. So let me switch back here before we go do the ad. Let's go back one last little time here to the iPad here for a second. Because I want you to think about which audience goes to which ad. So if we've got, back to our customer journey here, if we've got an awareness ad, that's going to be people who don't know us at all. So we're going to need to target people there that don't already like the page. So we want a cold audience for that. So we're going to find some people who are our ideal customers, and we are going to target them. They don't know us, but we're going to get them to know us. So this is going to be a cold audience. And for a cold audience, you can use a lookalike audience. I'll show you how to make one of those in just a second. You can use, think about people who are friends of people who like your page. That's another cold audience that you can send an ad to. You can use a lookalike of any of those custom audiences that you created. But lookalikes are some of the best audiences to use for that initial awareness ad. And so we're going to create one right now. So those custom audiences that I made, go back here to audiences. And let's think about which one would be most likely to bear fruit. So I could use my artsy custom audience to create a lookalike audience, or use that one itself. It's got 210,000 people in it. I could use my website visitors and create a lookalike audience of that to find more people like the people who visit my website. I could try to find more people like the people who engage with my page. More people like the people who engage with my Instagram profile. Any one of these would work to create a cold audience. So I'm going to try creating one from Artsy. I'll set up one ad using that audience that I already created, but then I'm also going to create a lookalike audience. To create that lookalike audience, I'm just going to select or go up here to create audience and create lookalike. Select the source, and when you select the source, it can be any of the audiences that you've already created. It's one of the reasons to name them really clearly so you can find them again. So I'm going to look for my Artsy audience. And why is it not showing it to me? It is not recognizing. Ah. There it goes. So I can pick one of my, darn it. My mouse is giving me a really hard time there. So it is having a conniption fit. I may have to go grab my batteries to put into my other mouse. So let's go to, darn it. Hang tight for just a second, y'all. Let me grab the batteries for my mouse because this one is dying. Nothing like having a little basic tech difficulty there to keep me on my toes. So unplug that mouse and go for my other one, and hopefully this is going to work. I don't want malfunctioning devices right in the middle. That's a giant PETA. It's going to take it a second to pair. There it goes. Come on, wakey, wakey, mousey. See if it will pair. Nothing like technology. Come on, thing. Nothing works. It's just not going to work. I have to go back to the other one. May have to actually end up just using one of the lookalikes I've already created instead of showing you how to create one if I can't scroll. For some reason, that thing is just not working. So to create the lookalike, I should only have to go to Lookalike Audience and then be able to scroll down and base it off of my page. It's doing very strange things. There we go. Now it's giving me my custom audiences. So if I look at, I want to create a lookalike of all my website visitors, or the artsy one, it should show up. Maybe down here at the very end. Nope. See if it will show when I type in. Nope, for some reason it's not recognizing it. So I'll make a lookalike audience of the website visitors. And ignore that for right now because you won't see that. And then select the audience location. Now, I generally target English-speaking countries. There's no point in targeting the whole entire world. So I'm going to target the United States and United Kingdom. And Canada. And Australia. New Zealand. Oops. And Ireland. Those are my standards. Good, I'm glad you found it, Teresa. They are updating. One of the problems is that the Facebook Ads Manager is changing again. So that's why it took me a minute to find where they hid my stuff, is because once again, they changed the way the page looks. So don't let it throw you when that happens. Just poke around and click on things until you find what you were looking for. But you want to target some specific countries. So I've got those picked out now. And look down here, and you'll see an audience size kind of sliding selector tool here. And what it's doing, what a lookalike audience is Facebook will match up people who have very similar qualities to the people who are in your custom audience. So in this case, it's going to pick people who are really similar to the people who visited my website. And it can pick 1%, and it's going to be a smaller size, but they'll be a closer fit. You can go to a larger one. I think because of the audience that I picked, it's not going to get too much bigger than that anyway. So I'm going to pick just one and keep it to that 1%, and then click Create Audience. So that's how you find So that's how you find how you create that lookalike audience. And if you get something like this, and it says source is too small, please choose a source that includes at least 100 people in the same country. So that goes back to that being an old custom audience. If you get something like this pop up, and this may be one of the things that happened to you, Lisa, if you get something like that that tells you there are not enough people, then you either need to get rid of one of those countries. It means there are not enough people in the original custom audience to match up people from that country. And my guess would be it's one of these smaller countries, smaller populations. So I will get rid of some of these and just keep Canada and the US. And then let's try that again and see. It's giving me too many little options there. Yep, it's even smaller. And I can't see the bottom of the page. There, we'll try it again. So if you've got too small of an audience for them to work from, because it's an old audience, then you need to change the custom audience. So that means at this point, then I need to switch to a different custom audience. And it's going to be weird again, just like it was being for you, Teresa. Let me see if it's, no, I don't want that. Facebook. Come on. Back out of it to get it to promote again. Propagate. And I'll go to my Instagram profile audience. See if that one's big enough. And just go to the United States and see if that one gets large enough. There we go. That one worked, and that created an Instagram lookalike audience, 1% of people in the US who fit those descriptions. So that's going to create an audience that's going to be people who match up with the people who follow me on Instagram. And it's going to take it a little while to populate. Is everybody with me so far? Because Facebook being weird, throwing in there is, and being glitchy is confusing. Yeah, Clarice, you can catch up on the replay. Yes, it is. So glitch management. I love the way you describe that, Lisa. Yeah, you have to just keep clicking when it starts getting glitchy. And Facebook gets really glitchy when they're going through updates. So if it starts getting glitchy on you, then you just, one thing you can do is walk away and come back, because usually it stops being glitchy after a few hours. But if it is indeed being glitchy on you, then just walk off and come back. Otherwise, you can just keep poking around in there. Teresa says, I can see custom audience in my lookalike sources, but not saved audiences. I couldn't see them either, Teresa. I'm not sure why it did that. It appears to be that it's not letting you create a lookalike from a saved audience. May be able to do it a different way. So I wish it would not give me those little prompts every time I do something. I am wondering if I could create a lookalike from here. And let's see if I change something, if it'll let me do that. And it's not prompting to make me to make a lookalike from that. That is so strange. I think that, Teresa, that may be part of the glitch as it updates. It's an existing audience. It's showing in there. It should give me the option to create a lookalike from it. Come on, thing. This is where my mouse being wacko gets in the way. And I don't see any of my saved audiences in there. Just the custom audiences. That is so, I think it's just Facebook being glitchy. So you should be able to get there. I don't think it's been taken away, or we wouldn't have been able to create it. One of the things that you can do is run an ad straight to that, which is what I'm going to show you how to do. I'm going to create one of the awareness ads going to the lookalike audience and one going to the saved audience. So that's one way to do it. So I think maybe it's just not letting us make lookalikes of that, which is bizarre. But it also could just be that they're having glitches in the system because it's updating. And my guess is that's what it is. That's usually what something like that is. I don't think you really need to go into the images section. Just worry about the audiences for right now. So everybody with me on creating those audiences? That's how you do a lookalike, and that's going to be a cold audience. So you can get a cold audience either from a saved audience or by creating a lookalike audience of people who are already familiar with you. Making sure everybody's with us so far. Okay, so next step is to create the ad, to turn that post into an ad. So we've got to go back to the ads manager. And to begin that whole process, you want to create a campaign. So I'm going to create a campaign, and it is going to have, and it's definitely glitchy right now because I'm getting an error message right there, Teresa. So close that. I'm going to create a new campaign. And remember that our goal, we have to have a goal for a campaign. Let me actually switch back here for a second, just to the manager. I want you to go back, and it's not going to go back. When you create a campaign, you need to choose an objective. An objective is the goal, what you want to have happen for that ad. And right down here, you'll see the general categories of objectives. Notice that they match up with our customer journey. So I use terms for those customer journeys, the customer journey categories that are close to what Facebook uses, so that they would tap into the similar kind of language. So awareness is brand awareness and reach. So either one of these will work to build awareness. Brand awareness means that you're trying to increase awareness of your brand by reaching people who are more likely to be interested in it. Whereas reach is showing your ad to the maximum number of people. So question for y'all, which one of those do you think is going to be better for building awareness of what you do? If you picked brand awareness, you'd be correct. We don't want to just reach all the possible people. We want to pick brand awareness. When we pick that, I love the little megaphone icon right there, we're going to get, that is the default name for the campaign. And I'm going to call it Mary's Paintings Brand Awareness Campaign. Now I can put both of my ads into this one campaign. And you set the budget. I actually really like, though, to keep one ad, one campaign. One ad, one ad set, one campaign. Just keeps things tidier, and you have a little bit more control. So I don't click on split test. We're going to keep this super simple. Don't even worry about optimizing because we're just going to put one ad in here. And we're going to spend very little. Don't go to $25. You don't need to spend that. You can actually get a lot for very little as an artist because it's not that competitive yet. Very few artists are advertising on Facebook. So let's see what we could get for $2 a day. So it's a lot less than the 25. When you click continue is when you get prompted to set up the ad set. So a campaign is a goal, and think of the ad set as a folder, and then the ad as a file inside the folder. So ad sets are folders that can contain your ads. And like I said, I like to do one ad for each of those things, just so I can have more control. So I'm going to use an audience that I already have. I'm going to name the ad Marsh Greens Awareness Ad Set. And the audience that I'm going to use is that lookalike audience. And it should show up here. There we go. The lookalike, and it's still populating. So it hasn't finished populating yet. But I'm going to go ahead and stick that in there. Or I could go ahead and use the saved audience. So if I want to use the lookalike audience, I'm going to click here. If I wanted to use the artsy audience, it's under saved audiences. So either one of those will work. So my custom audience, it's going to be just that one. And I already have picked the location. Remember that? I picked the United States. I'm going to pick an age range because I'm not really thinking that a lot of 18-year-olds are going to be buying a whole lot of art. And that gives me a potential reach of 2 million people. You're not going to reach 2 million people. And that, especially since it's only $2. Now you can get to see the estimated daily results. If we go back over here to campaign and objective and turn off the optimized across ad sets, then we can pick that here in the ad set location. We don't have to fill in any of this other stuff because we've already picked that here with our lookalike. Whoops, it's having its little meltdown. On placements, for the most part, I think using automatic placements is a good idea, especially when you're starting out. And you can see the daily reach estimates over here. This is how many people it's going to reach every day for that $2. Not bad. Or $5. If I change it to 2, let's see how many that goes. Still reaching 500 people to 1,500 people a day for $2. Not bad. One of the things for you to watch is that you keep up with how long your ad runs. So awareness ads, I tend to run until they're just not producing anymore. So you can set it to run continuously. If you are sure that you're going to check back in and make sure it's still working, then click continue. And now we're at the ad level. And change that default name to Marsh Green's Painting, so I'll know which one it is. Now I want you to look down here, and I can pick my Instagram page if I want it to go to my Instagram account as well. Look down here, and you have a choice to create an ad or use an existing post. And remember, we're using existing posts for our ads. So click on that. And here's where the magic happens. Whoop. Why is it doing that? It's a little meltdown here. So you can go through and you can scroll back through your ads, your post, and find it. That's one way to go there. And if you have a whole lot of posts and you're going way back, that could take a little while. Or you can get the page ID, the post ID, and enter that. That's what this link right down here is. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go to the Greens post, and I'm going to get that ID. And it should be this number right here. So I'm going to just copy that and enter it in here. And there it is. Yeah, it is very, very glitchy today, Teresa. So the easiest way is to grab that page, the post ID, and enter it there, and it'll pop it right up really fast. And that way you're not having to search through everything. So did everybody understand how I got that? All I did was go to the post and grab the post ID number, which is this last set of numbers here in the location bar. Copy it and then paste it in where it's asking for the ID. If that's too confusing, you can always browse through to find the post. And then you get to see what it's going to look like. So here's what it would look like in the mobile news feed. Here's what it looks like on desktop news feed. Instant articles. On down to how it will look on the Instagram feed. And it'll run in Insta Stories. And it will show up as in Messenger as a Messenger story. So Facebook will run it in all of those places. That's because I didn't pick a specific place. I did the automatic. And automatic means it's going to go everywhere. So everybody with me so far? I've picked the post I want to use instead of creating a new ad. And that is generally the way that I do it. Yeah, it's not going to work for one that's, oh, Lisa says, I tried this for a post that I placed on Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. And I also saw a bump on Pinterest somehow. No, they're not linked. Pinterest is a totally different animal. My guess would be that people shared your post to Pinterest because they were seeing it on Facebook. And that's why you saw the bump there. So down here, you can see the Facebook pixel. My pixel's right here. And if you haven't had a chance to set it up yet, it'll prompt you to set up the pixel. That's all we have to do. And then I'm going to click confirm. If you're not sure you've done it right, you can click review. And it's publishing and uploading that right now. So that was the first awareness ad. And it's in review. That is normal. So when you upload an ad, Facebook has an artificial intelligence algorithm that checks the ad to make sure that you're following Facebook's terms and conditions. And they are really strict about those terms and conditions. I'm going to give y'all the link in just a minute to go check those out. I'm not going to go through them all. But Facebook has those there for a specific reason. They have those terms and conditions for advertisers so that the user experience stays positive. So one of the things that they prohibit, just to the quick main big ones, one of the things they prohibit is anything that can create a negative experience. So you can't talk about or call people out for personal attributes. That means you can't go, you people with ugly living rooms, for example. You can't call out people by race, creed, religion, ethnicity, anything. So you can't go, all of you people living in Charleston, look at this painting, because that's calling somebody out. And even if it doesn't sound negative, Facebook doesn't like it. And so one real good habit to get into is when you're writing posts, leave the word you, Y-O-U, out of it, because then you're not going to get into trouble for calling people out. Just makes it easier. Keep that out. Second thing that you want to be really, that's actually the main thing to be really careful about. Is the second thing is don't talk about people's pain points too much. And that's traditional advertising. They talk about pain points and then present the offer as being the thing that's going to alleviate the pain. But Facebook doesn't want people to have a negative experience while they're on Facebook. So if you have something that's targeting and talking about pain, then they're not going to allow it, because that makes people uncomfortable and unhappy, and they'll leave Facebook. The other part of that is if you are being too pushy like that, people are going to mark your ad as spam. And then you can get your ad account closed down. You don't want people to mark your stuff as spams. Don't be spammy. You also can't do something that they call clickbait. And that's what I was talking about yesterday, when you call out and tell people to go click on a website to discover stuff. Click here now is literally clickbait. It's luring people to a website by usually some false advertising in there too. Like 4 magical steps that will make your living room walls more beautiful. Click here now. That's clickbait. So you have to watch how you word things so that it doesn't read as spammy and clickbaity. Y'all aren't going to write that way, so I don't think you really should be too concerned about it. But Facebook does update those terms and conditions fairly often, so it's a good habit to go read those about once a month and make sure that you're still adhering to policy. So if I wanted to create that same ad, a similar ad, and just use a different audience, one easy way to do that is to duplicate that campaign. You see here you have the option to view charts, edit, or duplicate. So to save myself time having to search for that post ID again, I can just click duplicate, make one copy. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the name of it just a little bit. I'm going to put on the end of it here, Artsy Audience. And you don't need to worry about special ad category. That's not us. So ignore that. Brand awareness is still the campaign goal. And I can go through, I want to go through to the ad, it's the ad set here to change the audience. So if I click on here, it's going to pull up the ad set. Notice how it's a hierarchy. Here's the big folder for the campaign, mini folder for the ad set, and here's the ad itself. So I'm going to keep the budget exactly the same. The difference is going to be the audience that I'm going to target. So when I go down to audience, I'm going to click this time on a saved audience, and I'm going to click on Artsy. Because it's a smaller audience, it will show probably more often, and I'll have to switch the audience out eventually. But it's going to be a very targeted audience. Those are people who already really love art and they don't know me. So that's the setup for the ad set. I don't have to change anything about the ad. I always double check how much I've put in the budget so that it hasn't defaulted to the $25 again. It's still set for $2. I'm going to click publish. And it will slowly go up. There it goes. And when I go back, I close this and go back to, now you see how I'm not seeing anything else but just that one campaign. It's because that's selected, I think. Just the one is selected. Now they're all there. So that one's in review now. So now I have a couple of awareness ads. Now, what I would do next is I'm going to create an ad from the one that was engagement. Remember, we had one here that was engagement that had a link. It's this one. And this one goes to a page on my website that talks about why I love the Low Country. And that's all that's in there. And it talks about my painting that collection. So to promote and get people to go to that page and read that, then I'm going to want to grab this one's ID. So again, I'm going to grab that post ID and copy it so that when I set the ad up, I can pull that in. I'm going to have a little bit different goal this time. So I don't want to duplicate the ad. I'm going to create a brand new one. And on this one, I need to choose my objective. So remember, this time we want people to engage and we want them to go to that website. So this center column here is engagement, and it combines also lead generation, so my third category, but we're going to go for engagement. So traffic encourages people to click a link and go somewhere. Engagement encourages them to comment, like, or respond. So I want you to make sure you understand what these different things are. Y'all don't have apps, you don't need to worry about that. If we were doing a video engagement ad, this is probably what we would choose. So what we're going to choose, because I want people to go to a website, is traffic. So we want to send more people to a destination. The reason I'm picking that rather than engagement is it's more specific about what action I want people to take. So I want people to go to the website. I'm going to pick the goal that is going to tell Facebook I want people to do that. And they're going to look for people who are likely to do that. So when I click traffic, then I get to name my campaign, and I am going to name it Low Country Blues, which is the name of that post. Website traffic. And I don't want it to optimize across the budget because I'm just going to put one ad in there. And I'm going to click continue, and that'll take us to the ad set level. If Facebook wakes up. There we go. So the traffic is to a website, and the audience is defined as my saved audience. Oops, not artsy, that was the last ad. So I want to pick an audience of people that have already interacted with me. I want to pick a smaller audience. I want to pick people who are engaged with me. So if we go back over in this other tab and we look, make sure I got to the right one. Come on, hamburger. We go to audiences that I've already created. I want you to guess which audience is going to be the most appropriate. Now you want a burger? Ha ha ha, me too, Lisa. So I want one of those audiences that has already been exposed to me. So I want an audience that's already been exposed to me. And to get a big enough number, I can put several of those in there. So I could pick my Instagram custom audience. Those people are already aware of who I am. I can use my Facebook page as a target. That's not in custom audiences, that's in the targeting. Or I can use my website. So I could go to my website visitors in the past 90 days. They're familiar. They've already taken that action though, so I'm probably not going to pick them. I'm looking for a warm audience. So probably the easiest one for everybody to pick is either going to be the Instagram custom audience or your Facebook page likes. I would pick whichever one is bigger for right now, and possibly even both. So if I'm going to pick my Instagram custom audience, then I am going to look down through here, and it should, well, there it goes. My Instagram custom audience is everybody. Well, there, it did pick the correct one. And again, I don't want anybody who's under about 25 because I'm going for buyers. 25-year-olds are probably not going to necessarily buy right away, but I'm cultivating a future audience there. In just a few years, they'll have enough money. 30-somethings buy small paintings, so don't discount people who are younger. And over here, I can see that the reach is going to be approximately 721 to 2,000 people. It's probably at that default $25 though. Landing page views is telling you how many people are out of that group are likely to then go land on my website, are going to click on that link and follow through to my website. So then I'm going to automatic placements. If I were being really careful, I would turn that off so that they don't go to Instagram, because it has a link in there, and Instagram doesn't, those links aren't clickable on Instagram. So if you take that off and edit placements, then what you can do is just deselect Instagram. That's all you need to do. So I want everybody to remember, Instagram, if you have a link in a caption or a comment, people can't click on it. So it's frustrating to people if they can't click on it. So people wouldn't be driven to click there and go to my website. So there's no point in me spending money on people on Instagram being frustrated because they can't click. You need to make an ad specifically for Instagram instead. But all of those others will work just fine. And as I go down to budget, it's gone to default. Landing page views is fine. You can also just do regular traffic, but it'll default to landing page views. I'm going to bring this one down. I want you to watch the reach as it goes to 2. And the number of landing page views is going to be 4 to 20. So it's just not going to have as many people moving over there. So it says when your ads have more opportunities to get results, you may spend more than your daily budget. You'll spend up to $250 on some days, and that's fine. So the more I put in, the higher those totals get. So I'm going to put that one at $5. And click continue. And remember, it's not running on Instagram because it has a link in there. And just like before, I'm going to use an existing post. And just like before, I'm going to click there and I'm going to insert the ID. And there we go. So before I do that, there is one thing in that I need to edit. Remember I said you need to edit anything that's in there. So I did a family euphemism in this one that I want to edit out. So, and it's not giving me the option to edit. That's because I've already entered the post ID. So I'm going to click change post. And for the moment, I'm just going to click any other one because I want it to let me edit that post. Let's see if I can get the edit button back. Nope, too late. So I'm going to have to edit that before I actually run the ad, because saying Puff Mud is going to totally confuse people. I have to log out of, let's see if it'll let me get in there. Nope, it's not going to do it. Let's see if I had another one that would work. It is going to be a pain in the patootie because of that. Darn it. Well, I will go ahead and use that ID and just say to heck with it. Because people will comment and tell me I spelt it wrong, and that's okay. So let's put that ID back in there. And scroll down. All of that should be fine, and confirm. Yeah, Lisa, it can be a good tactic for engagement. And that was why I originally did it. Part of the reason I originally did it. In my family, we called what's Pluff Mud, we called it Puff Mud. And it did get a lot of engagement. I just don't want people to think I'm an idiot, but that's okay. I'll live with that. They can think I'm an idiot. So one of the ads, I just got a message from Facebook, has already been approved. So there's my second ad, my engagement level. I want people to go on the traffic.